hillbilly crime. You can't hide from hillbilly crime. You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dog passed away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be
Winter reveals the hidden lie. Moonlight could mask their cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise.
all the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. My name is Elizabeth, and this is Hillbilly Crime. We've got Sweet Tater with us tonight. How you doing, Mommy?
I'm doing fine, and you?
Well, I could be a whole lot better, but
What's wrong?
well, that little baby kitten is dying.
Yours? Yeah, I knew that yesterday.
Yeah, she's dying. My vet's office wasn't open today, so and I know there's nothing really they can do. So, it's just a sad thing. And
Well, they didn't have a chance in life.
no, I knew something was wrong with her whenever I got her. Whenever she came here, I knew something was going on. I just didn't know what it was.
Well, you gave her lots of love, and that's what's important at this stage of her life.
Yeah, Alan's in there. Every time she has a seizure, and she's just having like one after the other. I figured she'd already be dead, but she's not. Alan's in there petting on her and trying to comfort her as much. I don't think she even knows what world she's in right now.
Well, she doesn't.
No, so, but
That's kind of what happened to Dougie, you know.
is it?
Mm-hmm. So it's not the seizure that's really causing it. I mean, that's what they're doing outwardly, but it's not the primary cause. It's the symptom.
Yeah, pull your camera down some so I can see you better. So what she's done every time she's had a seizure, she's just gotten a little bit worse and a little bit worse. Do you remember Sissy, that little dog that I had? Every time she would have the spell, she would like take off running and she'd jump off a cliff. Even.
Yeah, that's just part of that. It's a brain activity. It's just part of that seizure.
Well, that's what she was doing at first. But then every time she had one, she got a little bit less active afterwards until now she's, and her eyes are fixed and it's just sad. Anyway, and I've never experienced this. I've never, all the cats and dogs that we've rescued over the years, and I've never experienced this. This is a first for me. But so we are talking tonight.
It's 24 degrees.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're talking about tonight, y'all, is the power bills. We're talking, get over here. We're talking about how much this is affecting everybody. We're going to watch this video, and it's got the public comments. It's got people giving their public comments at this PSC meeting.
So let's talk a little bit about Kentucky Power and
And
this
I'm not
application.
gonna-
Kentucky Power
We're not going to
generates
listen to
and
all
purchase
of the
electricity, distribute and sell electricity in all process in the case. Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question about process, but I would like to know what Kentucky Power and American Electric Power representatives are here tonight.
They are required to be here, but it's their choice if they want to identify themselves tonight. So I'm.
Very smart.
And that's not to say, I don't want to speak for Kentucky Power. So I'm speaking for the commission. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Mike Schuler. I'm actually counsel for the company. I am joined by a number of individuals from the company years. Thank you, everyone.
So for those of you who would like to know, so thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. We've had 2 of these already. I certainly.
So let me tell everybody what we're watching. This is Boyd County. So this is the PSC board, or I guess that's what they're called. The Kentucky Public Service Commission. Okay. It's Angie Hatton and the other 2 members. I don't know their names, but this is the 3 people who sit over the power rate increases and any kind of request that Kentucky Power has for.
And so those 3 people are our representatives?
Well, no, not really. No, they're just the 3 people that sit on the Public Service Commission board. So
they're just appointed.
Yes, they are appointed by the governor, and Angie Hatton is on it. And now she used to be one of the people out here giving these public comments. She used to be one of us. But then whenever she lost the election and didn't get reelected for representative, Governor Beshear appointed her to this board. And so now, they're the ones that have all the power in the rate increases, whether they're approved or whether they're denied. And I don't know of them ever being denied. I don't know. I think they might have been a couple that have been partially denied, but I think as far as I know, most of them's been approved pretty much. So, but we're going to listen to this. It's almost 3 hours long. If any of y'all want to go and watch it, you can go watch it on your own, the whole thing through, but we're just going to kind of skip through it tonight.
We don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable, but they are here tonight if you want to speak to them. Do I have any other questions about the process? Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What is in the building that was built, almost says Kentucky Power? What do they do there?
That's not a question that I can answer. This is just about the process of the case. And I don't know.
This is all about that, right? Somebody's got to make a decide.
Okay, so if you have an opportunity after the meeting adjourns, if you would like to ask the Kentucky Power folks, I do want to say, I also don't want you thinking that you have to have all the answers tonight. If you have a question, please don't be frustrated because we can't answer it. It may be a question that the commissioners also are interested in knowing. So what we do this over and over again, and we do public comments quite frequently, and I know it's a little bit frustrating, but please still ask your question because it may be something that they, again, don't expect a response from them, but it may be during the hearing that they will ask Kentucky Power your question. They do read the comments. I can assure you, I have watched them, I have talked to them, they read all the public comments. They are all three here tonight. In addition to that, this hearing tonight will be part, the video from this will be part of the record. Any document, if you came here and you were expecting to speak for 20 minutes and you find out that that's not the length of time that you have them written up, you can submit your public comments, or you have an attachment and we will include it. Sherry will help us include it in the record. Yes, sir.
So did you say a 3-person board?
The three commissioners here. Yes, sir.
And these 3 people are the, I think you used the term judges?
The judges in this case. Yes, sir.
And will rule on the outcome.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, yes, sir.
Are you going to introduce the commission?
And they're going to introduce themselves. So, yes, sir.
So we got 3 commissioners, that's all there is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What is their background and their employment history? Because we'd like to know who's representing us.
When they get a chance to introduce themselves, if they would like to share, there's also a biography on our website for each one of them. I will tell you that if for some reason either of the parties do not agree with the decision that is made, they may appeal it. It goes to the Franklin Circuit Court. Then the judge in the Franklin Circuit Court can either say yay or nay on the appeal. If they say that, yes, we agree that the commissioners got it wrong, then it goes back to the commissioners. Or if someone doesn't like that decision, you can also go to the Kentucky Court of Appeals. So this is, in any case, the representatives on either side may do that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what are they going to do for Social Security and disability people that has electricity and can't afford the prices increase?
Okay, say that for your public comment. So when we move into that section, you can speak to that. Yes.
How many of the commissioners does it take to make that decision? Doesn't have to be.
No, it does not have to be unanimous. It can be 2 with 1 dissension. So, yes, sir.
Like, with the proceeding, what's the burden of persuasion? Does Kentucky Power have to prove it's feasible? Or does the second have to prove?
No, so the burden of proof is on the utility that what has been demonstrated is that their case, their application is a fair, just, and reasonable. So, yes, ma'am.
In their application, are they saying why they need this 14% increase?
Yes, so there's quite a bit of testimony if you're interested in reading it onto why each component is very detailed. You certainly are welcome to offer public comments if you look at something that you don't agree with or that you have a question about.
So you have to go online to read this case in order to find out why they're doing this increase, in order to contest it or to say your views on it?
Well, if you as an individual are interested in it, then yes, you would need to do that. Now, keep in mind, the Attorney General is your representative in this case as your advocate, and they have hired the expert witnesses, and their job is to review it on behalf of the citizens.
Do they consider us the expert witnesses? I mean,
no, they've hired people who are extensively experienced in reviewing utility rates and cases. They're putting on their own witnesses as part of the case, so that will be part of the evidentiary hearing. But their role as charged by the legislature is to represent you as the consumers.
So what we're here tonight is just, you're letting us know that you're going to go up for us to, I'm hoping to contest this increase.
Not me. So keep in mind, I'm the executive director of the Public Service Commission. So
Who's standing up for us?
tonight, there is not a representative from the Attorney General's office, but during the hearing, there will be a representative from the Attorney General's office and their witnesses.
I just want to say something real quick. If you watched the interview that WKYT, I think that was the news people, did with Angie Hatton, and we watched it a week or so ago, a couple weeks ago, one of the things that Angie said in there was that having these public comments was a courtesy, that it was not required, and that they do not need any of these comments to go along or, with their decisions. And that if I remember this incorrectly, I'm sorry, refresh my memory if I did. But if I remember it correctly, she basically said our decisions are not based on or guided by any public comments. Those decisions are already made. This is just kind of a courtesy of the people to tampen down the anger and the frustration, and it gives people a chance to be heard. But just because they're letting us speak doesn't mean that they're, you know what I'm saying?
So the rate increases have already happened.
Right. This, I don't think any of these comments do any good. There's so people have to understand.
We don't want to discourage people.
Yeah.
We got to give them hope. So it might help down the road, even if they might back up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not saying we shouldn't have them. I'm just saying I hope that people don't think that if we go down here and by giving these comments, it's not changing their decision. I just want everybody to keep that in mind. I mean, it helps us and it helps the public. It helps the people to know, it helps us to fight. But that PSC board is still doing whatever they need to do to keep their job.
Yes, So I'm sorry. Let me ask this one and then I'll come back. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to clarify who determines what's fair, just, and reasonable rate?
So the commissioners, and they speak through their order. So, the order will be very detailed as to the justification, the sides of the case, weighing evidence, and why they make the decision. Okay. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll come back to you. Okay.
Will there be anybody doing the video, hearing or anything?
Yes, thank you for asking that. You can watch the hearing live on our website. There is a YouTube link and you can watch it while it's going on. And then it will be posted afterwards. All of the videos become part of the case record.
And how long does the hearing usually last?
It can depend. We had scheduled a number of days. I think we had scheduled 4 days for this hearing all day. I don't know that it will take that long. Obviously, there are a lot of questions.
Not be subjected to abuse or vulgarities. I know, and Andrew Wood.
Some of you, I need you to ask him as part of the public comment. Yes, sir.
Where did you say that we could rate the read last week?
Okay, so I'm going to put this up. If you go to psc.ky.gov, there is a tab called Commission Record, and you go in and you enter the case number, and it will pull up everything that has been filed by every party in the case. There's also a little folder on the left-hand side that says public comments, and you can go in and read what the public comments if you're interested. So, okay. With that, I'm going to Chair, okay.
Yeah. We talked about,
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Angie Hatton. I'm Chair of the Kentucky Public Service Commission. Joining me tonight are Commissioners Mary Pat Regan and Andrew Wood, and we are here to hear public comments. This is not something we're required to do. It's something we do voluntarily because we want to hear what you have to say. I've been in your shoes. I came and testified at least 6 times before the Public Service Commission in my previous life before I was a commissioner. It's very important to me that we hear what you have to say. That said, I'm going to expect everyone to behave civilly. My staff will not be subjected to abuse or vulgarities. I know you to be good people. I'm from the Appalachian region myself. I know we're all good people and we can act accordingly. So as long as you guys are civil, we'll hear everything you've got to say tonight. If you have questions, we're the judges. We can't prejudge a case. We can listen. But if you ask questions, very often, if you watch our hearings, we ask of the applicant at the hearing questions we heard at public comment hearings. Again, we want to hear what you have to say. We're here voluntarily, and we'll listen as long as you guys want to talk tonight. We have we need to have a limit so that everybody gets a chance. If one of you talks for 2 hours and other people have to get home to their kids, then other people aren't going to get a chance to talk. So with the number of people that have signed in, which is well over 150, we're going to do a 5-minute limit. Commissioner Regan is going to time that for me. And when you get to your 5 minutes, she'll hold up her hand and then you can wrap up your sentence. But really, we need to hold to that 5 minutes. For people who come to these often, you know that there are always people who try to go over, and it's just not very courteous to your fellow public commenters. If we have public officials here who want to go first because they have some other obligation, you can, wave and get my attention, and we can do that. Otherwise, I'm going to go in the order that you signed in. And for those who indicated yes with the Y on the sign-in sheet that they want to speak, I will go through all of the yeses and allow you to speak. There were a number of people who put question mark or maybe. So after we finished all the yeses, then we'll come back through and see if anybody else wanted to speak. I can go through the maybes, or people can come up in an orderly manner and each speak after that. But let's see. Oh, and we've had a lot of different opportunities to hear public comment where people decide they want to talk again and they want to get back up and talk again. We're not going to be able to do that tonight. If you have something more to say after you've already talked once, you can come to the public comment hearing that's in person in Frankfort on Tuesday, or you can email us and write as long as you want. And if you have a lot to say, put it in an email or write us a letter, and we do read them. So if you have more to say than the 5 minutes, you can come on Tuesday, or you can write us by email or letter, but I'm not going to let everybody speak twice tonight because I've learned my lesson about that, and it ends up being a disaster every time. So with that, when I call your name, you can come forward to this podium here and tell us your name and where you live, at least city. You don't have to tell us exact address or anything like that, but tell us your name and where you live, and then Commissioner Regan will start the timer at 5 minutes. So the first on the list that indicated yes is Troy Combs.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Troy Combs. I'm the mayor of the city of Grayson. I'm here today to speak in opposition of this measure that I believe is unconscionable. This 15% increase will undoubtedly hurt families in the city of Grayson and my area. The reasons for that being we are already in an economically stressed region. People are going to be put in the situation where they're going to have to choose between paying their electric bill or paying for medicine and food. That I have no doubt. The justification for this increase allegedly is new equipment as well as a power plant and maintaining company profits. Well, I haven't seen the budget sheets, but I have a strong feeling that Kentucky Power has not lost money or had a losing quarter in the last 50 years. So I have some questions tonight. My questions would be, where is that profit going exactly? If Kentucky Power is maintaining a marginal profit of 4% annually and wants to increase the authorized rate, why are they not being held responsible for sending money back? If they're able to operate at these margins, why haven't they done so? And why can they not continue to do so? What measures have been taken to try to avoid these rate increases each year? And why is the company allowed to do it without sending those money back and taking steps and measures to account for those costs in the future? My next question would be, what are the exact expenses or factors that are having to necessitate this increase? We're all dealing with inflation. We're all dealing with higher costs. Blankly stating that they're having higher costs, it's egregious to suggest that they're having to raise it to 15%. They have it up here that they're requesting an adjustment. I work in city government. We make CPI adjustments every year. And I can tell you 15% is beyond reasonable, far beyond. Those are the questions I have for the commission. I thank you for hearing them.
Thank you. And next on the list that indicated yes is Michael W. Cottle.
I just have a few comments to make here. I'm from Ashland, by the way. Last night, looking online, just checked some things out. Kentucky Power's rate right now is 15.4 cents per kilowatt. East Kentucky Power out of Maysville is 9 cents per kilowatt. LG&E, 12.4 cents a kilowatt. Kentucky Utilities out of Lexington, 13.6. OMU out of Owensboro, 13.4. Paducah's is 13.5. Frankfort's is 9.6. Clark County Co-op, 13.5. Then Kentucky Utilities for Richmond is 12 cents. State average is 13.56. And they already getting 15.4 out of us. They want a raise of another 15%. We're the highest in the state. Go across the river to Ohio. Ohio Power, what used to be DPNL, now AES, and Ohio Edison are all 9.8 to 9.11. And I mean, we're paying outrageous. West Virginia actually beat us at 17 and 16 cents. When Kentucky Power shut down one of the units at Big Sandy, they cut the newest and the largest. They kept the oldest unit and the smallest unit. Then they started buying from Appalachia Power at 17 cents a kilowatt.
Now, I just want to say something real quick. This is the kind of stuff that I was saying. Nobody holds them accountable for their own bad business decisions. So this company can make any kind of bad business investment. They can make bad business decisions. There is nothing that makes that PSC board or anybody else hold their feet to the fire over their own bad choices, their own bad decision making. So if they make a bad business deal, if they make a boo-boo and lose their shirt, who do you think recoups that loss? Because it's not them. They pass that loss on to us, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Any loss whatsoever is passed on to us, the consumers, and we pay for whatever it is that they say we need to pay for. That's not right.
Which is higher than anybody else around. instead of buying from Ohio Power, all AEPs. AEP actually owns powerhouses in 11 states. They have 19.7 billion in revenue last year, 2.9 billion.
I hope it ain't mine. Can you see me?
Let's see. I see you.
All right, well.
Appalachia Power at 17 cents a kilowatt, which is higher than anybody else around. Instead of buying from Ohio Power, all AEPs. AEP actually owns powerhouses in 11 states. They have
Thank you. And the next on the list is Robin Ruggles.
Hi, welcome here tonight. My name is Robin Ruggles, and I am a citizen here of Ashland, Kentucky. I'm a 4th generation Boyd County and an 8th generation of Northeast Kentucky. Very proud of my community. But these hills seem to be getting smaller and smaller, and it seems tighter and tighter to be able to live here when every time we turn around, there is some new increase. Well, I am blessed to say that I am a retired senior citizen, and I am on Medicare, and I have my retirement from my largest employer, which is King's Daughters Medical Center. Even with that, I get a COLA increase, which has me just paying enough of my Medicare supplement, and then still I have to come $4 more out of pocket to pay that. So it's kind of hard sometimes, and we're dealing with record inflation. And I hear Kentucky Power speaking of, they've got to give money to their shareholders and their stockholders. Well, my shareholders and my stockholders are the gas company, the water company, life insurance, auto insurance, and all the other bills. Now, while I would love to keep everything warm and Christmas lights on, sometimes it becomes very, very hard. So I speak as the people who are on a fixed income, or even the ones that are working full time that just don't have money here and there. I hear this quote of corporate greed, and I hate to pick on people, but I do believe it is a form of corporate greed, because when I can't meet certain bills, I have to tighten my belt somewhere. So how do you say I'm making record profits this year, but still I need to make sure that I put this on the backs of everyone who's just trying to get through the day? Now, I've seen things over the holidays about WSAZ and AEP. Kentucky Power were partnering together to make toys and donations for our less fortunate, and that's a noble effort. But I submit that if we didn't keep having these increases, that family members, even on a tight budget, would be able to buy their own children and grandchildren their own presents without having to rely on community input, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, I submit to you that I heard a story today from a girl who said she can't come because she's working 2 jobs. One of them is at a local nursing home, and the other one is what job she can get. And her husband died 3 years ago. She has decided she has to sell her family home now to move in with her mother, and hopefully they'll be able to maintain the residence when your power bill is higher than your mortgage. Something's terribly wrong, and I just ask you to submit not 1 more cent, not 1 more cent. Thank you.
The next person on the list is Shauna McCown.
I ain't taking garbage out.
Typing my notes, and I'm gonna mirror a lot of what everybody else has said. I'm coming because I'm most concerned about the most vulnerable in our community. I'm a substitute teacher, and I have seen firsthand that our students in our districts, how they suffer. And I know we send some kids home with food on the weekends because their families can't afford to have reliable snacks and food to feed their children. And this isn't necessarily anything directly related, but I know that also our school districts struggle with being able to employ enough school bus drivers to make sure that our kids get to school. So our kids are already struggling. And like someone mentioned, with people that are on disability or have limited income, sometimes they have to choose between food and electricity and medication. And also with public education, we have non-traditional instruction. So if we have a day where kids can't get to the school and they have to have power to do their classwork, if their parents couldn't afford that bill or whatever that week and they're sleeping in blankets to stay warm at night, they're going to miss out even more on education. So I'm really concerned about the most vulnerable in our community, people with disabilities and children, especially since it's not anybody's, it's not our fault at all, but especially not their fault. I also saw online that Kentucky Power recently was having a hiring event, which now that I know that they plan to make so much money, because I wondered, why are they having a hiring event if one of their reasonings for raising our rates is because they don't have enough economic growth for get enough from us? How are they able to get all these jobs? But either something's happening that I don't know, or they plan on this happening already and they're going ahead and hiring people. But that seems suspicious to me. And also what was mentioned earlier about how one of the things that our utilities companies have to prove is that they are able to make a profit off of those. It's really kind of not fair whenever the little industry that we have in this area is either taken away from us or promised to us and never delivered upon. And then they're going to come and say, well, you guys need to help us carry the cost for this, when it's not our decision to make those are top-down decisions. And then lastly, I do want to make sure that when you guys are making a decision about what's fair and reasonable, and I forget the last word, that the rubric includes our most vulnerable and isn't just centered around what the Kentucky Power wants, and that everything is on that rubric and not just the strong power holders. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next is Suzanne Griffith.
And I have handouts for you all. We'd be surprised if you didn't.
My name is Suzanne Griffith, and I come from Ashland, Kentucky. And first of all, I want to say thank you for coming here and listening to the concerns of all the people in this room. This is the third meeting I have attended, and the public has spoken in unison that another rate hike is unaffordable. I hope you were listening and will rule accordingly. Some facts to review. Kentucky Power sells 48% less electricity than they did in 2010. Kentucky Power ratepayers currently pay the highest average bill in the state, use 22% less electricity than they did in 2010, have seen a 74% rise in rates since 2010, while the normal rate of inflation since 2010 is 50%. And the proposed 14.9% increase will make it a 100% rate increase since 2010. The rate hike path Kentucky Power is on at close to twice the rate of normal inflation is not sustainable, and a correction must be made. Another large expense, as mentioned in case number 00175, separate from the rate hike that ratepayers will be responsible for, is one of Mitchell's 2 concrete cooling towers is failing structurally and needs to be reinforced or replaced, costing between $350 million to $375 million. That is a lot of money to invest in a coal plant set to be decommissioned in 2040. I would much rather see ratepayer money invested in Eastern Kentucky, where it is so desperately needed.
Why in the world do they keep letting them get by with these kinds of business decisions? I mean, this is just straight out. I don't see how it's any different than straight out extortion. You know, we're going to go live in our yachts. We're going to go live in our mansions and drive our yachts and our Lamborghinis. And we're going to put our kids through school, through the best schools. And we are going to live in the lap of luxury and all of our friends and our fellow shareholders are all going to live in the exact same form and fashion. We're going to pay all of our top executives, all this money. Like, look at their salaries. They sure ain't having a hard time paying their power bill, I can tell you. I just don't understand. I don't understand how they can justify, because they have the right to a reasonable rate of return, Angie said. The shareholders have a right. That's the law. Well, we keep sending these lawyers to be our representatives. We keep sending these lawyers to be our congressmen and be our lawmakers. Well, that's exactly why we got what we've got, because they're the ones who are regulating their own industry. They're the ones who are making all of these regulations, and then they get appointed to all of these positions as regulators.
It's quoted from the Lexington Herald Leader on this case, yet the PSC was forced to either permit continued investment in a 54-year-old plant in another state or allow Kentucky Power customers to be at the mercy of the market. Ms. Hatton, you said neither option is good for customers, and we are forced to choose between the least bad. Frankly, I'm tired of least bad decisions and straight up bad decisions that Kentucky Power has made, especially the decommissioning of Big Sandy 2. Our region needs and deserves positive decisions. Our 606 family, look at them. This is our 606 family. Sorry. Can't keep coming back every 2 or 3 years for devastating rate hikes that do nothing to attract population, industries, and businesses to our area. Solutions must be found. Economic development is key, and this is the one point Cynthia Wiseman and I agreed on when we met. I left you with homework at the Hazard meeting, and I hope you have studied up on it. I sure have. The One East Kentucky plan is vital to economic development in Eastern Kentucky. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, 95% of all new jobs incentivized in Kentucky have been in communities west of I-75. That leaves only 5% of incentivized jobs creation in Eastern Kentucky. The team at One East Kentucky proposes switching that to a 4-tier model so that we'll get more of the money. Legislation based on the One East plan proposal will be coming up this session. I know Kentucky Power has a strong relationship with One East Kentucky. I am asking them to support this legislation and the PSC to give input as well. If passed, listen really close here, this legislation may be used in the final order as a viable path forward as opposed to the rate hike. In addition, other suggested legislative goals are on the table, including what Governor Beshear said about $25 million going to the Rural Economic Development Fund. I'm asking the PSC to stand strong and deny this in full, this unjust, unreasonable, unaffordable, and morally indefensible rate hike, especially knowing the big expense of the damaged cooling tower will be landing on ratepayers' bills as yet another surcharge. And by the way, Kentucky Power hasn't even addressed that with us yet. I'm taking this further by suggesting a moratorium on any rate hikes for at least 5 years in order for the Kentucky Power Service area to work with the state legislature, Kentucky Cabinet of Economic Development, and local entities to produce positive results that could ultimately address the two main reasons Kentucky Power uses over and over and over again for raising our rates: loss of population loss and industry loss. We must get to the root of this issue. The truth is, as 606 tries to rise up from the ashes of the decline of coal, which Kentucky Power, steel and other industries, we need a handout. We need a handout, not a handout, and we sure as hell don't need the boot of high electric rates on our neck. See you Tuesday.
Thank you. And next is Paula Bowling.
Sweet. You just unplugged that. Turn up.
Good evening. I'm Paula Bowling. Before we get started, in interest of full disclosure, I've never worked for an electrical utility, but I am a qualified design consultant and cost estimator that has worked in the heavy industrial sector since 1998. So I'll go ahead and get started now. And well, here we are again. Anyone that knows me knows that I've been attending these meetings for years. I'm the one that is always here protesting another rate hike and asking for our transmission lines to be buried. That trimming trees and cutting brush isn't enough to guarantee a resilient power supply, and as consumers, we deserve more. I am loved so much by Kentucky Power that the last meeting, I was called a liar by a Kentucky Power representative because I dared to point out how long I was without power during an ice storm. And by the way, on that front, I have receipts. Before we get down to it, before I get into specifics, first let me offer some perspective on the impact that ever-increasing power rate hikes are having on consumers. On average, electric bills are increasing at twice the rate of inflation. Over 52 million Americans were unable to pay their electric bills at least once last year, and annually, approximately 3 million people have their electricity shut off. Here in Eastern Kentucky, we are paying some of the highest rates in the nation. IOUs, investor-owned utilities, which are private monopolies, by the way, like Kentucky Power, a subsidiary of American Electric Power, like to paint a picture that they are asking for rates that are just unreasonable. The reality paints a different picture. When asking for rate hikes, IOUs want you to believe they are only asking for operating costs, salaries and the cost of fuel, maintenance costs and capital investments, including the cost of power plant upgrade projects, the cost of infrastructure investments and maintenance costs, and a little on top for a just and reasonable profit known as rate of return. Operating and maintenance costs are straightforward and can be seen as openly observable costs. Where things get murky is calculating the cost of capital investments, and that's my bailiwick. These costs must be estimated, and IOUs are overinvesting in projects that don't benefit consumers or the environment, but instead are designed to increase their rate of return. IOUs devote significant resources to securing approvals for higher rates. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent to retain lawyers, economists, accountants, and PR specialists that specialize in intervening on the IOU's behalf and with experts and reports. Millions are also spent on lobbying on the federal and state levels. To their detriment, the consumer is paying for this. What do I mean by investing in projects that don't benefit the consumer or the environment? Over the next 5 years, load growth is projected to increase by 25%, driven by data center expansion. AI and cloud services are expected to more than double energy consumption by the end of the decade. This will be costly, but it's a small but necessary piece of the puzzle concerning consumer burden. Where consumers are being squeezed unnecessarily is instead of IOUs investing in upgrades such as non-wired alternatives, which reduces reliance on traditional transmission infrastructure, or buried transmission lines that keep costly repairs in check when destructive weather events occur, they are dumping capital into legacy assets like poles and wires, and customers are footing the bill. The current financial model of IOUs disincentivizes grid improvements that allow for efficiency. This has even been acknowledged in a report by the DOJ just last year. I also want to point out that EVs, I've heard this before, EVs are not is what impacting our cost in the grid. The grid capacity build out for data AI centers alone, just over the next 5 years, is enough to charge 2 electrified vehicles for every single household in the US. So there is that. Let's dismiss that. So what now? Smart grid technology and grid enhancing technologies must be embraced. Grid enhancing technologies are essential to maintaining a reliable grid. Renewable energy integration must be capitalized upon in Kentucky. Coal has been in decline since the 1950s and is an outdated technology that is contributing to climate change. It is no longer feasible to maintain this outdated technology. Instead, distributed energy resources such as solar panels should be utilized. And I have more, and I will submit that. But in closing, Kentucky Power simply cannot keep passing the cost of old, outdated technology off to the ratepayers while they rake in profits. Dragging their feet or completely ignoring improvements that really benefit customers have to stop. In closing, if Kentucky Power does not commit to investments that benefit consumers and to keeping our bills affordable, my next move is to advocate for and seek support for public utilities. I'm watching and waiting, Kentucky Power.
Thank you.
The ball is in your court.
Forgive me if I mispronounce, but Ed Rajunas?
Reginus,
Rajun.
Reginus.
It is IML.
By the way, I want to thank you all for adhering to the time limits and for being respectful and not using abusive and vulgar language. We very much appreciate that tonight. Go ahead, sir.
Usually what I say is the D is silent. You think of the month of June, it's Rejunas. Okay?
That's to
Public Service Commission. Appointed by the governor, and am I right, confirmed by Senate. You all have a seal. And on this seal, it says fair, just, give me the third one. Okay, reasonable. AEP, by the way of Kentucky Power, is requesting a 14.9% residential increase in the rate. This is probably averaging, as we saw here on the screen earlier, pretty close to $27 per person or household. Today, I'm joining my fellow customers, I'll call us, of AEP, and I always use that because they are the mother load here, and Kentucky Power, and asking this commission, I want you to listen closely. We want you to deny, and I'm going to say that again, deny, not reduce. Now think of that again.
Okay.
Deny, do not reduce the residential rate. Several years ago, AEP, along with the Big Sandy Power Company, made a decision to decommission, and I think, Mark, I'm right, Unit 2 of the Big Sandy plant. At the cost to retrofit the unit was so high that they decided itself to, well, the cost high was to add equipment to the existing equipment called scrubbers, I think were the names we used them. And this was to wash and clean the coal and reduce sulfur emissions, is what I believe this was doing. Now, other than that, without the high costs, they decided that best decision to make was to pay $500 million and assume a 50% debt and liability of the Mitchell plant. Mitchell plant, where's the Mitchell plant? We don't know where the Mitchell plant is. It's in West Virginia. Mitchell plant burns coal and it burns a higher sulfur than what the Big Sandy did. What you're going to see up there, and in our saying, is a West Virginia, northern West Virginia, and western Pennsylvania coal down in there with a higher sulfur itself. The generated power from the Mitchell plant itself, as a result of this higher sulfur coal, is projected, and the projected life of the plant is, I think, to end in 2040. That's just 14 years from now, I guess. What is the plan then? Are they thinking this far ahead? I don't know. That's a question to maybe be looking into. The CEO of AEP announced at his last shareholder meeting that the future earnings will increase. He also said margins are going to increase. Returns are going to increase to the shareholders. Stock is going to increase along with the dividends. We are outperforming other utilities, were the words used itself. And up to date now, AEP stock today, 4 o'clock, closed at $115.93 per share. That's of January 8th. AEP's annual dividend is $4.02 per share. Not real high, not low, but a good return itself. Stock prices for American Electric Power itself have increased. Now, don't be alarmed at this number I give you. Up to $75 per share in the last 15 years.
Your time is up. I'll allow you to wrap up real quick, and then you can submit anything else that you have to say in writing or come on Tuesday.
Okay, all right. I'm the only one who's been taking it all the time. But let me borrow some of theirs. Okay. Kentucky Power has faced a declining population, an industrial production elimination, we'll call it, yet they need an increase in rates. Now, do you, as your ratepayers do, is what we need to say. Plan ahead. We down in here get increases from the store and wherever else we go down in there. We look at our budgets, especially the retirees, which you guys are not even rented for yet. And we have to readjust our budget. I'm telling you, Kentucky Power needs to readjust, not come to the commission and to the, well, not to us, but to you all, say, I need more money. Need to take a hard look at that. Once again, let me say to you, the three of you all, deny, not reduce.
Thank you, Mr. Jennings. Next on the list looks like Stephanie Stepp.
Thanks. Come here.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Stepp from Ashland, Kentucky. I used to be employed with a subcontractor of AEP. It started out as Dillard Smith and they sold out to Service Electric. During that time, I was there for about 3 years. I saw a lot of things that you all need to know about that I think is being passed on to the customers. And the gross negligence that I saw, it still this day makes me sick. I didn't speak up because fear of what people would do to me, but I'm tired of being quiet. I'm going to stand up for what I saw. I saw the superintendent of one of these companies. He would use the I can't believe that they did this, but they would use the equipment that we did transmission power lines, okay, mainly in Moundsville, West Virginia. And we would do upgrades there. So I started out as a secretary there. I'm going to give you a little bit of history. And then during that time, when Pike Electric opened up, the office manager that was working with Service Electric, he transferred over to Pike. Well, during that time, you know, I was put in charge of the office. So I was, you know, doing all the transmission power lines for, you know, hiring the men, firing the men, you know, working with the local union. And I'm sorry, it's just emotional for me to speak this truth, but they put me in charge of the office, okay, for this area. And the men, the superintendent, and I won't name names, I'll tell you all privately, but I don't want to expose anyone publicly yet as far as his name. But he would use his fuel cards and the equipment on his own farm out in Elliott County. And he would take the equipment from Ashland, Kentucky, and travel all the way to Elliott County to his farm and use that equipment and charge it to the company. And I would do the receipts and the fuel cards, and I did payroll. And I mean, I was in charge of all of this, even though they wouldn't promote me because they said because I'm a woman, they wouldn't promote me to the office manager. And they didn't want to pay me what I deserved when that gentleman quit. But that's beside the point. The point is, this gentleman would use our fuel cards to fuel our trucks for their equipment on his personal freaking farm. You cannot do that. And I would see these men come in. And when I first started working there, I got so frustrated because I've always worked for like Cabell, you know, Huntington Hospital and King's Daughters, you know, in the ER. And I've always seen how processes are done. And then when my dad passed away, I couldn't handle healthcare anymore. So Bill Wagner knew my dad and he said, you know, hey, Dillard Smith is hiring, you know, Stephanie, you'd be great at this job. So I went in as a secretary. Well, when I first got there, I saw these men, and I'm not putting the utility workers down at all. I have great respect for these linemen. They work so hard. But the PPE that we would order, it would be laid out in the garage at Dillard Smith, and these men could come in and grab as much as they want at any time. Okay, there's no accountability. There was no, you know, if they wanted a pack of gloves, if they needed one pair of gloves, okay, say one man needed it, they would come in and take a whole freaking 12-pack. Okay, where's the accountability? This amount of money is passed on to the customer, and that is not right. And I saw it time after time after time. And it wasn't just the PPE. It was, you know, these dinners they take them out on. And I understand we got to feed our workers. We got to feed them good. But sometimes they would tell them to order whatever they wanted. You know, they would go to these big steakhouses and, you know, pay for everything. And then during storms, you know, these guys, I understand we are supposed to pay for their hotels and their food, but they also get per diem. While they're out on storm, $150 a day, how is that right? Because that's getting passed on to all of us. And that is so not right. And it bothers me so much. And I've stayed quiet for so long because I know that these men will hurt me. And I'm a single mom, and I take care of my mom who just recently had another stroke and just fought colon cancer. And I don't have much money. I live paycheck to paycheck. I'm actually on disability because of a car wreck that was not my fault. And that's a whole nother issue, but I'm getting ready to fight that too. But the money that they spent, you all, is disgusting. It makes me so sad that I didn't speak up sooner because all of us are paying you know, do you all know what the rate is right now that AEP is paying over cost? Because when I worked in 2013, it was 20% over cost that the subs were charging AEP to do these transmission power line upgrades. So 20% over cost on top of all the PPE, on top of all the gas that this idiot superintendent was charging back to the freaking company because he wanted to upgrade his farm and use our bulldozers or whatever, you know, and our trucks. I mean, all of our company trucks, all of our fuel. These people would go home for no reason when they should have been at the job.
You're a couple minutes over time, but
I'm sorry.
I just was going to allow you to wrap up, but I'd encourage you to write all this down or come and speak on Tuesday and finish it.
Okay. But I mean, it's disgusting to see. I'm trying not to break down because it makes me so mad that they passed all this on to us. And I don't know what the charge back, you know, like what they charge over cost right now, if it's 20% or 30%. I saw it. I saw people, they would argue back and forth. Okay, we got to do 20% on this job or 25 on this job, or, you know, I mean, when is enough enough? We cannot afford this.
Thank
It is called waste, fraud, and abuse. And it's in every industry, but it's really bad right now with our power, our electric bills. And when we got people who get appointed to these positions, and they're basically appointed to keep the status quo going and to keep everybody happy, everybody except the customers, everybody except the consumers, the people who are getting burned. And man, I tell you what, I sure wouldn't want to have to answer to God one day. I would not want to be in any of them people's shoes.
Thank you.
Nope.
Again, forgive me if I mispronounce, but Antley Gibson.
I hope all that money's worth it, y'all. Hope your salaries is worth what you're doing.
No, I'm gonna try to make this brief. My name's Anthony Gibson. I do live here in Ashland. Have most of my life. At Susan Griffith, she's hard to follow. We got a lot of good people in there. I never knew what the rate difference was between here and Frankfurt. I bet you all really enjoy that, don't you? Along with the cheap gas too, because we get raped by the refinery too. You know, when you look up Kentucky Power, it all refers back to AEP. When one man gets a $13 million bonus, that's ridiculous. That's one man. There's still about 4 others. Theirs ain't as big as his. As far as your opening statements with reliability, I've got 2 backup generators, 1 for each house. It's very unreliable. I'm paying the highest rates in the state for bad electricity. I remember back when the ice storm hit, line crewman standing there. I've got 20 acres woods. I told him, I said, get them big trees out of there, because the next storm is going to take power lines down again. Oh, sir, we can't do that. I said, why not? You're already here. He said, we can't touch them till the storm brings them down, and it's declared an emergency, so the state, the government, and insurance pays for the repairs. And they're wanting to add another fee on to us. I was at Catlettsburg in 2023 when they wanted their 18.9% raise. This is another song and dance. Y'all made us feel good thinking you only give them a 5.6% raise. What are you going to give them this time? They're asking 14.9. You're going to give them a 3 or 4% raise and say, oh, we saved you all money.
Roughly.
We're already paying the highest rates here, people.
no rate increase. Get our rates down to match the rest of the state.
Yep.
We have no industry here because of bad leadership. We lost a majority of the power producing plant because of bad leadership.
Yeah.
I worked construction for 20 years. I helped haul that stuff up the road with police escort, thinking, oh, well, they're going to save coal. Nope, didn't do it. Another waste of money. Y'all keep coming up here, having these meetings. I keep coming to them. We told you in 2023, the bonuses, the profits. Does AEP deserve more than $14 billion profit, gross profit? Do they deserve more than that? Because every year their gross profit goes up. Y'all give them a surcharge last year. You granted it to them. The surcharge was supposed to be to reduce future rate increases. What do they do in less than a year? We want another rate increase. So here we are dancing. I'm not a good dancer. I can't breathe very, very well, but here we are dancing again. I guess y'all be up here next year when they do the same thing. I'm going to cut it off because there was a lot of people give you a lot of information. I bet you'll really like hearing it, don't you? Because it does no good. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
That's really nice.
All right, next on the list that indicated they wanted to speak is Harold Sloan.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Harold Sloan. I'm mayor with the city of Louisa, just down the road, where Big Sandy's been mentioned several times tonight. And thank you so much for having this and for the opportunity for these fine folks to share their concerns with you. So tonight, I'm here to speak about and respectfully ask that you would consider the downstream impacts that this increase has on specifically public water and wastewater facilities. As mayor, that's something that's very important to me, as our rates in water and wastewater have already crept up on the citizens as well. In Louisa, as in many communities across eastern Kentucky, our water and wastewater systems are among the most energy dependent public facilities that there is, without question. We operate averaging $40,000 a month power bill for our small water and wastewater in Louisa. Pumps, treatment processes, regulatory compliance require consistent and affordable electric power. And let me make this clear, electricity is not optional for us. It is essential. When electric rates rise at this magnitude, we understand there's always increases, but at this magnitude, public utilities cannot absorb this type of increase. Unlike private industry like this, municipal utilities have no profit margin, as most of you all already know, and very limited reserves. So the result is unavoidable higher electric costs as force higher water and sewer rates. That's my concern with this tonight, what this will do to the water and sewer rates for our same customers, the same people that are here can't afford this. That means our residents are hit twice. First through the increased electric bills, and then again through the increased water and wastewater rates. This compounding effect is especially difficult for seniors on fixed incomes, working families, and most importantly, our small businesses who are already struggling with affordability. Our water and wastewater systems are already facing growing financial pressures, as you know, with aging infrastructure and regulatory mandates, chemical costs, labor and capital improvements. The increase in electric rates accelerates the need for local rate increases and forces difficult decisions by us local officials. Sometimes we delay maintenance, we postpone improvements, and we do those things to compensate for these electricity rates
without putting it on the customers. Local elected officials often are the ones who have to explain these increases to the public. We see firsthand the strain utility costs placed on household budget. Decisions made here with you all directly impact public health, economic development, and basic quality of life in small communities like Louisa. I'd like to end with one example. We, as a utility commission in the city, have tried to offset the increasing cost of power by
Thank you. And thank you for being here and thanking you for allowing me to speak. Again, my name is Adam Rice. I'm the field rep for the area for Congressman Rogers. I'm here on his behalf while he's in Washington fulfilling his duties. I live in Paintsville, just down the road in 23. While this issue falls under state jurisdiction, Congressman Rogers works tirelessly to rein in costly regulations at the federal level that hurts our industry and our people. We are still feeling, obviously, the impact of the Obama administration war on coal and the closure of the coal-fired power plant at Big Sandy in Louisa,
I told them to get off the Obama.
as well as the loss of 15,000 coal mining jobs in our region. Congressman Rogers has cut unnecessary funding to the EPA and worked to reverse the Biden administration's misguided Green New Deal policies.
I'm going to ask everyone to please listen when other people are talking.
Additionally, our region has suffered multiple major disasters in recent years. Many of these same people who've lost everything, I know the ice storm was mentioned earlier, they've lost everything they've owned, are now facing higher electric bills as they are starting to gain ground beneath their feet.
What did he say that made everybody so mad? Did you hear it, Mom?
These same people who've lost everything, I know the ice storm was mentioned earlier, they've lost everything.
Get out of my face.
I want to hear what he said again.
While this issue falls under state jurisdiction, Congressman Rogers works tirelessly to rein in costly regulations at the federal level that hurts our industry and our people. We are still feeling, obviously, the impact of the Obama administration war on coal and the closure of the coal-fired power plant at Big Sandy in Louisa,
I told them to get off the Obama.
as well as the loss of 15,000 coal mining jobs in our region. Congressman Rogers has cut unnecessary funding to the EPA and worked to reverse the Biden administration's misguided Green New Deal policies.
I'm going to ask everyone to please listen when other people are talking.
Additionally, our region has suffered multiple major disasters in recent years. Many of these same people who've lost everything, I know the ice storm was mentioned earlier, they've lost everything they've owned, are now facing higher electric bills as they are starting to gain ground beneath their feet. Congressman Rogers has submitted his comments for the record online, but asked that I be here today as well. So we appreciate your time and appreciate you listening to the constituents. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening.
So what thing that's in the sacred S?
And crusty apple. Is it okay?
All right. Forgive me again if I'm mispronouncing, but it looks like Frosty Evans.
Here's evening, but I am on spec.
Sorry, it's from Worthington, Kentucky. Could be Crosby or Frosty Evans. Okay. Well, I'll give you another opportunity if I've mispronounced a name.
For my good. It's a meeting, I'll call you.
Good.
The next on the list then is Victor Wilson.
So then. Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Victor Wilson. I live in Ashland, a former commissioner in the Huntington, West Virginia for historic preservation. And when I think about the number of people in this community that live on fixed income, a lot of it on Social Security that received a 2.75 increase this year, where do you expect as a commission for them to come up with the money to pay for this rate hike. I'm retired from the healthcare field. Are you recommending that they not take their heart medication, or that they not take their blood pressure medication, or that they not go and see their children at the holidays? Exactly where is it that you suggest they come up with this money? And when I took a train trip across the United States, in the Midwest, I saw one state where there were banks and banks and banks of windmills. Why isn't our local electric company investing in free energy? You can on farms, you can put solar cells up 20 feet high. Cattle can graze beneath them. Farmers can farm their crops beneath them. And they found out actually with solar cells that they have higher crop production because it's diminished sunlight burning their crops up. Why aren't they making capital investments towards something which has a free source? Instead of paying for energy, why don't we get free energy from the sun and from the wind? Those are the capital investments that we should be making. So anyhow, think again. With this rate increase, where do you want these people on fixed income to come up with the money? Do you want them to eat less? Do you want them to go to the doctors fewer times? Do you want them to see their kids fewer times a year? Exactly where is it you expect them to pick this dollar amount up? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And next on the list is Melody Riley. Melody Riley. If you want to wait a minute till this train gets by, we will pause your time. That wasn't real fair.
Thanks for going to school.
Yes.
They're not blowing the horn anymore, but
Okay. Well, those, let's just be realistic for a minute. They're asking for 14.9%, basically 15 for residential, 13 for commercial, 15 for industrial. Just like anything else, you're going to ask for more than what you really want most of the time. If you're trying to sell a car, you're going to ask for more than what you want. And hopefully that when they bargain with you, you'll make somewhere in the middle. So if that's the case, they're probably looking for half of what they're asking for, which is still way too much. In the last 5 years, they've had an increase 3 out of the 5 years. Now we're on the 6th year, looking at another increase. If they hadn't had an increase in the last 5, then yeah, okay, I could see asking for a little bit of money, but not 15%, maybe about 3. Well, yes, but it's not just us that's suffering with this. You got to look at the bigger picture. There's small businesses around here that's struggling as it is to try to make ends meet. You've got the school that paid almost $1.2 million in an electric bill last year from January to December. So the Boyd County school system has already had to cut funding from other projects and activities due to mismanagement of funds over the last couple of years. So we don't need more burden on the school, because guess where that money is going to come from? That's going to come from us as taxpayers. Now, I don't know what the county government pays on taxes or pays on utility costs in a year, but I would assume it's probably just as much, if not more, as what the school does. Well, guess what happens? If their bills increase, they got to come up with the money somewhere.
It's either cut funding from other projects, paving or whatever, or we increase taxes, which comes back on us. So it's not just the 15% that they're asking for out of us. It's going to trickle down from other areas. So in the end, we're going to be end up paying more than the 15% or whatever y'all would agree to, which I hope is zero in the end. Obviously, AEP is in the money or in the business to make money, but we have 2 landfills within like a 10-minute drive from here that if we're not, we should be using methane gas to offset some of this electric cost. I mean, why are we not using a resource that's right at our back door? Everybody produces garbage, which produces methane gas, which can be turned into energy and offset some of the cost for these people. So in conclusion, basically, just to give you an example, if you increased at I assume that the school is considered commercial, a 13% increase on them would increase a bill for $152,000 for the year. Well, right now that is about a month and a half more of electric that they would have to come up with. So I don't think we need to transfer the burden of more electric for the school system, county government, adding that on to the taxpayers of this county. Thank you.
Okay, I have another difficult pronunciation here. Or maybe it's just handwriting like mine. Mike Worley? Worley? Okay, I did all right. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Come on up.
Commissioners, thank you for your time. My name is Mike Worley. I'm a veteran of Iraq, a small business owner, and a resident of Russell. Bottom line up front, there's no financial justification for rate increase, none. Currently, Kentucky Power is more than a fair rate of return, and it's bordering on corporate profiteering. Power plants around here are powered by coal or natural gas. The levelized cost of energy, or ELCO, is the measure of how much it costs to produce electricity by a particular power source. The ELCO for coal averages approximately 10.5 cents a kilowatt. Personally, I'm charged with riders 13.5 to 14 cents a kilowatt or more. That's approximately 25% profit, which is more than healthy and a fair rate of return. On top of that, power plants are also powered by natural gas, and the ELCO for that is 4.2 to 4.9 cents a kilowatt, approximately 5 cents. Again, I pay approximately 13.5 to 14 cents a kilowatt. For natural gas that's powered, that's almost a 200% profit. You're appointed by the best governor in the United States, Andy Beshear. Hands down. I'm sure the governor would not want any greater financial burden on these great people. The Commonwealth, current rates are more than just, fair, and reasonable. Deny this increase. Thank you for your time.
Okay, next, thank you. Next is Austin Stout.
How you doing, commissioners? Honestly, I don't really want to come up here and like try to preach about like, corporate greed or anything like that. I really don't. I want you guys to think about everybody in this. Think about people that are struggling. You personally know someone who's struggling. All three of you do. Think about how they're going to manage this. Think about what their costs are. Think about how this affects their families. Think about how it's going to be a butterfly effect, and it's not going to be what they advertise it as, and they might They might benefit from 1 or 2% or 3% or 5%, but 14.9 seems like they're just trying too hard. They want more than what they need. And it's not really our responsibility to try to pay for every single thing. They're a company. They have operating expenses. How does some of this stuff not fall underneath that umbrella of their operating expenses? I don't know. There are way too many things to consider in this. And I know that the area that Kentucky Power services, 1 out of 4 people are below the poverty line.
And again,
It's going to be tough to try to justify that to these people. And frankly, I wouldn't. If I were you guys, I would vote to deny it.
thank you.
Stovall, I think Jeff Stovall.
I'd love to see what all 3 of their houses look like. All 3 of them. I'd love to see what their bedrooms look like.
Is it okay if I take this out? I not stand. I stand right here. Sure. Man, like, well, I shouldn't be into.
Name's Jeff Stovall. I moved down here 3.5 years ago. Been coming here for 40 years. My wife and family's all from Ashland, Kentucky, and this is a place we chose to retire. And I'd make that decision 20 times over again the same way. Now, I'm going to give you some facts and truths, and I am an insider, so when you boo me, that's fine, but I think you'll be pleased with what I have to say. I worked for a utilities company for 37 years. I've seen the good, bad, and ugly, regulated like it is here, unregulated in the same state. I've seen regulated companies that unregulated, and then they want to go back to regulated. And if you don't know, energy right now it's everything. Energy is everything. And these companies, some of these companies are getting it right, because when you talk about utilities, you're not talking really about the electricity or the water. You're talking about the people. And some utilities truly care about the people. And I'm not talking about a Toys for Tots thing going on. They just write that off. That's nothing. When you talk about a utility or a company investing in the community, now they're asking for 14.9%. Rhetorical comment, question. I would like to know, or maybe you all would ask the question, 14.9. So what were they asking before they got down to the 14.9 after they went through and cut bonuses from AAP and Kentucky Power by 50%? So were they asking 16.7? And so they
We neg.
are,
A big piece.
okay, so they did cut the bonuses.
They could not.
Oh, okay. Now my question is, what did they get down? How did they get down to 14.9? So if they didn't cut bonuses, rhetorical question, would it have been 17? Would it have been 20? The other question I have is O&M. It's operating maintenance cost. Capital's over here. You have to put capital in your system or it'll fall to the ground, and then you'll be out of business. And you should be. But O&M, 80% of your cost to generate electricity is 2 things. People, which we refer to as headcount, and fuel. I don't care what kind of fuel it is. That's what costs to drive your electricity. So again, back to the 14.9% increase. I'd like to know what Mother AEP, and they are the same, Kentucky Power, AEP, they're the same. There's legalities, but don't be confused. AEP is the mother. I'd like to know how many head counts
for non-working, people that didn't operate the plants, linemen that don't climb the poles, non-working people, how many headcounts did they reduce and squeeze down to get us down to 14.9%? What was the result of that cost by doing headcounts? I said fuel and headcounts is what your electricity cost you. So what was their headcount reduction and how much did they save to get us down to 14.9? Well, guess what? Headcounts cost money. Now, you got to have linemen, you got to have people operate the plants. That's the fact. But the second or the third item is how many consultants and experts did they bring in to do process diagramming of all their processes and create the waste and the cut and take that money and save it? So to get us down to 14.9. Where did they start, at 25 after they did all these cost-cutting measures? I'd like to know what that money was, because I don't think they did any of it. And I'll tell you from my own experience, I worked at 2 power plants and we saved them because our costs were too high. And we took the employees and we got together and we figured out how to get our costs down. Not only did we save those jobs for the working people, the operators, the mechanics, the good paying jobs, the utility pays taxes in those counties and those areas. But go back to Big Sandy, right? Perfectly good operating power plant. AEP took the gamble because they saw what was going on with gas prices. They were down to less than 2 cents a third. They just said, well, we're going to get rid of the coal. Well, that's a business decision. They made that decision. Why are we paying for that? That's accountability within a business community. So I would say if they did all the cost-cutting measures, brought in the experts, looked for the process issues, cleaned up the waste, reduced the bonuses, and then what about dividends? What did AEP do this year on dividends? Anybody know? Did they drop the dividend? No. Guess what? I worked for a company that cut the dividend to 0 to save. So where I'm getting at is this 14.9 could be easily, and I've heard many people say no increase, and I concur with that. But you could get it down to 3.9 real easy, but they're not doing it. They want to take your money, our money, and still make what they make and have all the luxuries that go with it. The last thing I'll leave you with is, and it's a bigger picture, Illinois was a regulated environment. I worked in the regulated environment. It went deregulated. Today, in Bloomington, Illinois, you can choose your electric provider. Who provides your electricity to you? They're right now, they just got new rates this year, 12 cents kilowatt. I would have never believed I would live in Kentucky and have electric rates higher than, of all states, Illinois, because they don't do shit right in Illinois. Excuse the language. They don't, and you know it. It's they know. But how are they getting 12 cents a kilowatt hour when we're going to be, I don't even know where it's going. 14.9 is going to be what, 17, 18?
Yeah.
A kilowatt hour.
Thank you.
Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Next is David E. Williams.
Good afternoon, or evening rather. My name is David Williams. I live in Ashland. Been a citizen here for 35 years. I want to thank you for coming, taking your time to let us speak. I don't know if it's worthy of mentioning, but sometimes you find a need and a calling to do more for others, and I've been elected to the Ashland School Board last year because I want to try to do best for our families.
a lot of children. Somebody alluded to was a substitute teacher mentioned that some of our children go home on weekends with a food bag of some sorts. Breaks my heart when we have a snow day and I know those children haven't been provided for. You know, we want to make certain that everybody gets treated fairly, but there's some in our community that I really want to make certain that we do look a little bit more, extend a hand. You know, I'm just going to read a few notes and I'm going to sit down. But my question, I come from an oil and gas background, but my question is, if we have a lot of these co-ops in the central part of the state that are producing kilowatt hours at such a cheaper rate, my question is, let's do an understanding of why AEP is charging at such a amount of money. I mean, I worked for Ashland Oil and at the end marathon, and we had people that, I mean, we were down to the price per barrel that we were producing. So that's out there. And, you know, we ought to really, the other thing is when it comes to Eastern Kentucky, we're trying to get jobs here. We're trying to provide opportunities for our young people. And you know, when we look at these high energy costs, we're not going to attract people here. And that worries me. I wouldn't have went in and went and voted in and or elected if I wasn't trying to save my community for my own children's sake. I don't want to be like everybody else and see their own children leaving town and me sitting here by myself. Although my wife would surely, hopefully stay with me and not go with them. But I have concerns about our community. And I'm going to speed up here just a little bit. Eastern Kentucky, we talked about the newer jobs. This rate hike will get passed on to so many other businesses. And so this is not just an energy rate hike. This is a hike, a tax that keeps giving and giving and giving. As a school district, our energy costs to heat and cool our schools will go up. Grocery stores will have energy costs for refrigeration and lighting. All these small businesses, all that will get passed on to the citizens alike. And I understand economics, but you know, this gentleman here, he seemed like he really had a lot of great information, and kudos to him to be able to get some kind of behind the scenes. And I appreciate that. But let's not forget that AI, the power needs from the grid that AEP plants supply will always continue to increase in the future. It's a big concern of mine for potential job issues down the road, and future rate hikes are likely my question is, you know, we need to equalize all Kentucky citizens as possible. If there's co-ops in central Kentucky that are producing power less, you know, what can we do to maybe have some options of that? Ashland payroll tax, just in closing, Ashland payroll tax is made up of many struggling families. And data from 2024 shows that there was 78% of the people who paid into Ashland payroll tax, 78% was making $40,000 or less, and 60% was making $20,000 or less. And I'm speaking for Eastern Kentucky. My heart goes out to everybody who struggles to continue to fight the good fight. And I would just hope that we would understand more about AEP's cost. In my earlier days of, you know, I always thought that the power companies were a high dividend, low valued stock. People got into them because they were concerned. They weren't, you weren't buying in the AEP to compete with Apple. And so when we started looking at these tax increase or these increases, I mean, this just doesn't seem right, as this gentleman has said here. But anyway, thank you so much for coming and appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is Jeff Kinzer.
Thank you all for being here this evening. My name's Jeff Kinzer. I live in Louisa, Kentucky. I'm a small business owner, have been since 1989. As people's mentioned about the Big Sandy plant being shut down, I sat in that meeting, the public service meeting. AEP sold 2 bills of goods. One was Plan A. Plan A was put scrubbers on the power plant at Louisa. It would be a 30% rate increase to the people. Plan B was shut the power plant down, buy half of the Metro plant, which they already own, which was amazing to me. You let somebody take money out of your right pocket and put it in their left pocket. I don't understand that, but evidently I'm not a good businessman. I'm sorry. You know. So anyways, they decided, our state legislators at the time failed us. And I don't mean no respect because y'all were probably not there at the time, but our public service failed us because they let them go to Plan B. And guess what? The plant disappeared and we got with the riders and all the other stuff. We still got a 30% rate increase. Still.
Absolutely.
Still. Then since then, how many oil rates? I know last year it was a 10%. So guess what? I ain't much at math. 30 and 10 is 40. So we're really climbing here, people. You know, the rate increase they're asking for, I heard or read somewhere, is based on loss of customers and usage. Not once have I read or heard, are they downsizing their workforce, making any reductions in the cost of their services, cutting the pay of their executives,
Yes, sir.
or the amount of dividends that are paid to their stockholders. I would love to be in a business that I could wastefully spend money knowing that I could go to my customers and say, you know what, I wasted money last month. I'm going to raise your all's price again. And that's what we got. To give you an example of this, I had friends that worked at that plant. When they tore the plant down, they refurbed Unit 1 to burn gas. That's fine. They spent $1 million putting machine shop equipment in that plant. They don't even have a machinist. That same equipment is sitting there today, never been used. $1 million.
Was brought down.
Now it gets better. Their sign was not good enough. So they spent $80,000 on a nice LED sign for their power plant. Then it keeps getting even better. They had a chain link fence, gate, electric controlled, open and closed, probably been there since 70s, 80s, but it functioned. That was not good enough. We had to get one of them new fancy $100,000 gates and put in. You know, if this is going on at one location, what's going on in their whole entire system? I feel there is plenty of waste in their company that they don't need to keep coming back to the ratepayers. They have changed the tariffs on businesses. I used to pay, I had a cut in one place I still got. If I did not use no electricity, I paid $300 a month. Their new tariff, and they told me this. I got so mad that the guy probably better be glad he was on the phone. AEP said, oh, we changed your tariff to save you money. Well, they did to a point. If I use zero electricity, it's $80 a month.
Now, used to, the same plant that I run 30 days, power bill may run $500 to $800 for a whole month. With this new tariff, if I run it 3 days, it's $500. Boy, they're saving me money. Here again, I like to have their accountants because I evidently I'm doing something wrong. But if they keep this up, and I was born and raised in Pike County, Kentucky, and I'm old enough, as a kid, I seen no electricity, people living with one light bulb. If they keep doing what they're doing to Eastern Kentucky, they're shoving us back into the 50s and the 60s. No doubt in my mind. You're seeing it already with people having to make a decision, the elderly, that's going to either decide to pay their power bill or they're going to buy groceries. By chance, I'm a firefighter. I've seen people, one light bulb in their house. So it is out there. It is out there. If you all want to help the people of Kentucky, you need to vote this down. And for the people here, we need to contact our legislators. We need to deregulate power in Kentucky. And don't let them tell you that if you deregulate, you're not going to get the service. You're not, guess what? Ohio deregulated, AEP run for the hills. Why did they do that? Because they got a cash cow in Kentucky. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
So I beg of you all, please consider, I do thank you for your time, but the people of this area, if AEP keeps doing what they're doing, and I can already see it as a business owner. Businesses are driving past Eastern Kentucky, and it's because of the power rates. I'm also a city water commissioner of Louisa, Kentucky. By chance, our mayor was there, and I knew he's going to be. He's absolutely correct. If they put a rate pay on the water companies, we have no choice, and that's going to be passed to the same ratepayers that's already paying an electric bill. I feel that when you do this, and the legislators, I'm sure, has got to do this, but rates are not be allowed to be raised on public utilities, schools, or churches. That is the taxpayers.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Peru.
Okay. Tina Bowling. Tina Bowling.
That's gone. Yep.
From Flatwoods. Tina Bowling.
A lot of good comments tonight, and when this came up, I pulled my files from the last rate, and I found it striking how they're almost the same.
Yeah.
We want a rate increase because we're losing customers. Well, it's kind of interesting. If you keep raising rates, people can't pay, they have to leave. What happens to the ones that are left? Are they in here for 30%? Because they have to have it? An interesting point. I heard a lot of people talking about the Big Sandy plant. I was in the coal business for 35 years. And part of that was I was over sales of coal to the Big Sandy plant. And I met with AEP a lot. And AEP told me that the Big Sandy plant was the #2 dispatch plant in the whole system. Second lowest cost. And yet they made that decision. Drawing back on your analogy about going down to testify for the DUI, I kind of take that to like drugs. Just say no. Thank you for your time.
Good.
Thank you. And next is, it's Angela
Right.
Rakes. Yes, thank you.
Hello, my name is Angela Rakes. It's right up my apple. I am a little bit mighty person. Thank you for that. Full disclosure, I used to work for AEP, and this is an unacceptable rate increase. They just had a rate increase in 2004 where they asked for 18.8% raise and ended up, your commission, thank you very much, set the rate at what was at 566%. Well, then a few months later, they ask for a securitized rider, Jesus, and that was 6 point something percent. So 12% total. The ones that we are fully aware of that they got in 2004. Now they're back 2005. Our economy is crap. We have a large proportion of people that are on disability, senior citizens. I myself have a brain tumor that I take medication for and will for the rest of my life. So yes, I draw disability because I can no longer work. I make, full disclosure, $1,184 a month Social Security. And do you know why I make that amount? Because I struggled my whole adult life trying to work and raise children with not one, not two, not three, 4 brain tumors at the base of my brain. Now to look at me, I look fine.
I mean,
this is a burden. AEP is not a soft, fuzzy milk and cookies company. They are for profit, clearly. They are not nonprofit. They also have a company yacht that the chairman and the upper echelon uses at free. I'm not certain of anyone here, but I don't have access to a yacht. I have access to my $1,184 a month. Last month, my electric bill, I just paid it. I pay all my bills right when they're due. It was $98 for electric. My home is heated with gas. My gas bill was $348. This time last year, my AEP bill was $48. Same electric usage. Again, my water heater is gas, my furnace is gas. All I use electric for is lights, appliances, and TV, of course. So my electric bill has already increased by almost $50. It was $98 this past month. So those of you who are real up with mathing, $300, almost $400 gas bill, $100 electric bill for just lights, and then water was $50 some. My main concern is, when is enough enough? When are citizens flat enough? We are flat out tired. I am tired of trying to manage finances with everything going up willy-nilly. I am tired of being told one thing and then something else gets passed. Like I said, a couple of months into 2024, there was a 6.75 increase added to.
When I worked for Homeland Security for almost 8 years. Different administration back then, different world. Here's the thing.
I had the choice in my electric companies, had a choice on who I got to have provide my electricity. It was a big deal. It was a really big deal. So at the end of the day, I didn't get price gap. And I'm not saying that all the information you guys have been given is good, bad, and ugly. I'm saying there are other options. There are other options, right? Okay. And I think that a lot of times we only focus on what we know, right? What's currently on the table, right? There are other options. Cooperatives are an option, okay? And both have proven to run time again. The reason that the deal fell through when they tried to sell, remember that in 2023, was because of the rate hike.
And I thank you for doing that. I don't know if you get paid or is this part of your salary or some of you are doing some volunteer work, but I thank you. I thank all of you for coming here because sometimes when they have these, you don't have this room as full. Isn't that right, Suzanne and Paula? And sometimes it's because it's further away. And I'm glad you took advantage of that because we need to speak up. Our voices, isn't that right? Our voices matter. And the people that we care about in our communities, in our homes, they matter. Now, some of us might not have to worry about our utilities getting shut off, but has anyone in here ever had to experience that? Not shut off, not just shut off, but just didn't have it because your heater broke or whatever. You know, you had to wait for someone to come out and fix it, right? I know I'm not the only one. Okay, some people are embarrassed to even say that. So imagine what people are going through when they worked most of their lives and they have to struggle just to get heat and don't want anyone to know it because they feel ashamed. Now, they are not the ones that should be ashamed. The utility company that is making millions of dollars off of their backs should be ashamed. Now, we are here to let you know that we are not settling for that. It's not just my home. It's my neighbor's home. It's that elderly person who has to walk around. Y'all might think I look kind of cute today, but I'm warm. And a lot of people don't know what that feels like, especially in their own homes. Because we had to get our utility fixed or our heater repaired or whatever, I had to put on a coat. Right? I had a big blanket around the house. That's no way to have to walk around because then sometimes what do? You have these space heaters. So when you're walking around with all this extra fabric dangling, you have a better chance of what? Catching fire. So a lot of people and elderly people are dying not only from the cold, but our families, our children.
For Kentucky, because of the cheap gases they cover.
If declining fuel costs do not translate to customer relief, the company bears the burden of providing why a permanent base rate increase is necessary. That showing has not been made. The company's own audited financial statements further weaken the claim by necessity over the last several years, including periods of declining sales and economic disruption. Kentucky Power has continued to report positive operating.
My kids are wanting me to come in there and get their food ready. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it there, y'all. We, we're just at the beginning of all of this. We've got a long way to go. I don't think that we're going to see this get any better. Unfortunately, I'm afraid we're going to see it only get worse. And it's going to be pretty bad when everybody's got a $2,000 a month electric bill, because that's what's going to be. I feel like that's what it's coming to. You know, they are pushing people to homelessness. People aren't going to be able to afford to pay their bills and stay in their home. And tonight we're just going to pray, y'all, and we'll pick up our scripture back tomorrow. Thank you, Lord, for another day being able to come together in your name. Lord, I pray that you just help us help us with Gabby and getting her buried. And I pray that you just touch my children and touch Alan tonight, Lord. Give him peace and just to help him understand. I pray tonight, Lord, for anybody who has a need and who has a situation that they're going through, that they need you. We pray, Lord, that you will show your presence in their life. We pray that you will just help everybody to see what the meaning of life is. So many people are lost and just hopeless and down, and there's just nowhere to go. So many people struggle with that. I mean, I do. I know I struggle with it. Depression and just not being able to get ahead anywhere. Always feeling like you take one step forward and two steps back. You know, you can't never get ahead. You can't never get your feet on the ground and get your feet underneath you to where you can, prosper. But the more I read in the Bible, Lord, the more I'm okay with the way that things have been in my life. I just pray, Lord. I pray for understanding. I pray, Lord, that you will drop the scales from our eyes. I know that you've dropped them off of mine several different times. And I pray that you keep on doing it. Because every time you drop them, it's another level of reckoning. It's another level of understanding. It's another level of clarity. And I praise you, Lord. I lift your name up in praise and honor today. I pray that you'll forgive me for my sins. I fall short. I'm a day late and $1 short every single day. I pray, Lord, that you just go with me. Go before me. Put your light at our feet, at my feet. And don't let me stray off that narrow path. Thank you, Lord. I pray that you go with us tonight and bring us back tomorrow at the appointed time. And until then, we'll give you all praise, honor, and glory. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. All right, guys. We will see you all tomorrow. Pray for us. All right. Good night. Peace out, Girl Scout. Bye.
From hillbilly crime, you can't hide from hillbilly crime. You may not know that there's a crew in town. The head hillbillies are making their rounds. Small town whispers loud and clear. The sheriff shot the judge in his chambers chair.
Sheriff got a secret he won't keep. Judge shot dead in his disbelief. A lot of people have some stories to tell. Dog passed away, get the sound of a shotgun shell.
All the secrets spill on down. Voices loud in this old town. From the courthouse to the ground. Rumors fly and they can't be bound.
Neighbors hide behind their blinds. Whisper tales of troubled minds. Skeletons covering the mountainside. A treacherous reality in the pines.
Winter reveals the hidden lies. Moonlight couldn't mask the cries. Shadows caught in sunlit skies. There's no cover, no disguise. All the